The crystalline halls of the Valdarian royal palace stretched endlessly, their surfaces reflecting the twin suns that bathed the alien world in perpetual twilight. Queen Lirelei stood at the massive observation deck, her silver skin shimmering, with bioluminescent patterns that indicated her elevated emotional state. At 7 feet tall, with graceful limbs and large violet eyes, she commanded respect from every being in her empire. Except for one. James Mitchell stood quietly at his post near the entrance, his human frame appearing small and unremarkable compared to the towering alien dignitaries who frequented the palace. He wore the standard-issue guard uniform of the human Valdarian Alliance, a simple black ensemble that made him blend into the shadows. His brown hair was kept regulation short, and his green eyes remained alert but unassuming. The human guard never speaks unless spoken to. Lady Xeris, the Queen's chief advisor, observed with disdain. Her elongated features twisted into what passed for a sneer among their species. How peculiar that such a primitive creature was assigned to your personal detail. Queen Lyrelei's patterns flickered briefly, a sign of irritation that Lady Xeris failed to notice. The Queen had been watching the human for months now, intrigued by his quiet competence and unwavering dedication. While other guards sought glory and recognition, James simply performed his duties with methodical precision. He saved Ambassador Kelly's life during the Nexus Station incident, the Queen replied, her voice carrying the melodic tones common to her people. The Alliance considers him one of their finest. The truth was more complex. James had volunteered for the most dangerous postings, earning a reputation for reliability that transcended species barriers. When the Alliance needed someone to guard their most important diplomatic asset, the first human queen to marry into Valdarian nobility had established these traditions, they chose him without hesitation. 3 weeks later, during the Festival of Twin Moons, everything changed. The celebration filled the palace with visiting dignitaries from across the galaxy. Elven ambassadors from the Woodland Confederation mingled with silicon-based beings from the Outer Rim, their translucent forms creating rainbow patterns against the palace walls. The air hummed with a dozen different languages and the energy of diplomatic festivities. Queen Lirelei wore ceremonial robes that amplified her natural bioluminescence, creating an ethereal glow that drew admiring gazes from every corner of the great hall. She moved through the crowd with practiced grace, exchanging pleasantries and maintaining the delicate balance of interstellar politics. James remained at his assigned position, watching the crowd for potential threats. His training had taught him to observe everything while appearing to see nothing, a skill that served him well in the complex world of alien diplomacy. The attack came without warning. A group of Nexus rebels, extremists opposed to human-alien cooperation, had infiltrated the celebration. They moved with deadly precision, targeting key diplomatic figures in a coordinated assault designed to shatter the fragile peace between species. As chaos erupted around them, James reacted with lightning reflexes. He threw himself between Queen Lirelei and an assassin's energy blade, taking the glancing blow across his shoulder. The weapon, designed to be lethal to Valdarian physiology, merely burned human flesh. "Get down!" he shouted, pulling the surprised queen behind a massive stone column as more attackers converged on their position. For the next 20 minutes, James single-handedly held off 6 armed rebels while coordinating the evacuation of VIP guests through his communication device. His tactical training, honed through years of dangerous assignments, proved invaluable as he turned the Queen's reception hall into a fortress. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found James standing guard over Queen Lirelei, his uniform torn and bloody, but his determination unshaken. The rebels lay unconscious around them, subdued through a combination of human combat techniques and alien technology. "You saved my life," Queen Lirelei said later, as medical staff tended to James's wounds in the palace infirmary. "Just doing my job, Your Majesty," James replied, wincing as the alien healing gel worked on his shoulder. But the Queen's bioluminescent patterns told a different story. They pulsed with colors James had never seen before, creating intricate designs that spoke of deep emotion and growing attachment. She had been studying human culture for months, learning about their customs and values, but seeing James in action had revealed something she hadn't expected. Humans possessed a quiet strength that didn't announce itself with fanfare or ceremony. They simply did what needed to be done, regardless of personal cost. Over the following weeks, Queen Lyralai found excuses to spend time near James's guard post. She would pause during her daily walks through the palace, asking his opinion on security matters or human perspectives on diplomatic issues. James answered her questions with the same straightforward honesty he brought to everything else, never trying to impress her or curry favor. "The human doesn't treat you like a queen," Lady Xeris observed with growing concern. "He speaks to you as an equal." "Yes," Queen Lyralai replied, her patterns brightening with what James was beginning to recognize as happiness. "Exactly." The breakthrough came during a private conversation in the palace gardens. Queen Lyralai had been struggling with a diplomatic crisis involving trade disputes between 3 different species, each demanding concessions that would disadvantage the others. "What would you do?" she asked James as they walked among the exotic flowers that bloomed under the alien stars. "Find out what they really need instead of what they're asking for," James suggested. "Sometimes people argue about the wrong things because they're afraid to admit what actually matters to them." His insight proved correct. The trade dispute was actually about resource security and fear of economic dependence. By addressing these underlying concerns, Queen Lyralai crafted a solution that satisfied all parties while strengthening the overall alliance. "How did you know?" she asked. Afterward. "People are people," James said simply. "Doesn't matter what planet they're from or how many arms they have, fear and hope work pretty much the same everywhere." That night, Queen Lyralai made a decision that would change both their lives forever. She approached James's quarters, her formal robes replaced with simple clothing that made her appear less intimidating despite her height advantage. "I have a proposal," she said. "Not a royal command or a diplomatic arrangement, a personal request." James listened as she explained her idea. The alliance needed a new kind of diplomatic corps, one that understood both human pragmatism and alien complexity. She wanted him to help her create it, working as partners rather than queen and subject. "Why me?" James asked. Queen Lyralai's patterns shifted to deep gold, a color that meant profound truth among her people. "Because you see solutions where others see problems. Because you protect without dominating. Because when I'm with you, I feel like myself instead of just a crown." 6 months later, the Human Valdarian Diplomatic Institute graduated its first class of interspecies negotiators. Queen Lyralai and Director James Mitchell stood together as equals, watching their students prepare to carry human wisdom and alien understanding to every corner of the galaxy. The quiet guard had found his voice, and the proud queen had discovered that true strength came not from standing above others, but from standing beside them.